This is Midweek Politics with Dave Pakman.
Hey, welcome to Midweek Politics. Thanks for joining us on what's an incredibly hot day, not only in Massachusetts, but apparently in a lot of places across the country, but not San Diego, interestingly enough. And I'll mention that later. I'm sure our audience can guess what kind of stories we're hearing on the news about that. I've been following this Michael Steele story for a little bit. We've actually been following Michael Steele for a while, and he just seems to, one time after another, continue to put his foot in his mouth. He came up at one point with his own healthcare plan at the time when Republicans and Democrats were really fighting about what is the right healthcare plan. And Michael Steele took it upon himself to come up with his own healthcare plan, which was not sanctioned by the GOP. GOP did not like that. He keeps putting his foot in his mouth one time after another. And now he made incredible comments about Afghanistan that I don't understand. And hopefully our audience, last week when I asked our audience to explain a couple of things to me, including creationism degrees, which we'll get to, the audience did. So I'm hoping the audience can explain to me what Michael Steele's talking about. I apologize in advance because the audio is not the best quality. Take a listen to what Barack Obama said about Afghanistan.
Keep in mind, again, our federal candidates, this was a war of Obama's choosing. This is not something the United States had actively prosecuted or wanted to engage in.
Okay. And what I mean is what Michael Steele said about Barack Obama and Afghanistan. So what he said there, if you couldn't hear it, is that Afghanistan is a war of Barack Obama's choosing. It's a war of Barack Obama's choosing. Now, we've been there 9 years, most of those under George W. Bush, and we went in under George W. Bush. So how could we say that this is a war of Barack Obama's choosing? How? I don't understand.
I don't know. Choosing to stay, maybe?
Well,
which is silly, I know.
Barack Obama did choose to send additional troops, right? He did choose to do that, but that's not what Michael Steele is saying here. Now, many experts are now saying there are somewhere between 50 and 100, that's just 50 or 100, Taliban in Afghanistan. We need 100,000 troops for that? You know, next week we'll be talking to Tyler Boudreau, who is a military veteran who served overseas. And I'm going to ask him, I don't understand what we're doing in Afghanistan. And I don't understand what is so anti-troops about saying, let's end these wars. I mean, are those who sent us into these wars treating the troops particularly well? I mean, we don't pay the troops well. When they come back and they have, whether it's PTSD or whatever else they need to deal with, we try to nickel and dime them on health care. We're sending them back for multiple tours of duty without any real explanations that make sense, at least to me and to many others, as to why we're there. Are those that are sending us into these wars and many of the Republicans that back these wars treating the troops particularly well? I don't think so. I don't see what's so nice to the troops, what supports the troops about not paying them well and nickel and diming them on medical care. I just don't get it. I don't understand the policy.
No, when I used to see some of those specials when Hannity would talk to the soldiers, and of course he'd find the one soldier who says, "Oh, when people say we need to end this war, it makes us feel like we can't complete our mission here."
Right.
I guarantee you, if you talk to the vast majority of troops, they'd probably rather be home.
Well, saying that they'd rather be home hanging around the pool versus in a hot desert, fine, but that doesn't mean that they may not support the mission. The thing is, increasingly they don't. We'll talk about that next week. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Many are calling for Michael Steele's resignation. Ron Paul defended him by saying, "Why would we ask someone to resign for criticizing the war?" Well, I hate to break it to Ron Paul, but the problem isn't criticizing the war. It's that he's been downright dumb about it. I mean, think what you will about Barack Obama. Afghanistan is not Barack Obama's war. And I am asking the question, are these the last days of the Republican Party as we know it? I mean, we see the Tea Party, which I think is going to help Democrats far more than it helps Republicans, even though Republicans themselves see it as a potential threat. And many others say that the fact that the Tea Party is doing well suggests people aren't thrilled with the Republican Party. Traditional, longtime Republican fundraisers are saying the GOP is not conservative enough for them. And they're starting their own fundraising groups. I mean, I don't know. Is this the end of the GOP, Lewis?
I don't think so, but I guess we'll find out for sure later this year.
Well, I don't know that this year will really tell us for sure, but it's I don't know what Michael Steele is talking about, but at the same time, it may be emblematic of some of the infighting and lack of consistency that we're seeing. Not that the Democrats don't have their own slew of problems, which we'll get to. Midweek Politics is made possible in part by CSR Wire, the corporate social responsibility newswire at csrwire.com, by DIF Design, specializing in custom business websites at difdesign.com. To find out more about underwriting Midweek Politics, visit midweekpolitics.com.